Hello again, welcome back to the potting shed. Today I want to talk about this here Calathea Medallion. It's a pretty little plant that I've got in recently. I think actually this one is some sort of subspecies of Calathea Medallion, because you'll notice on the underside of the leaves it does not have that deep red wine colour that you almost invariably get on Calathea Medallion, but the leaves do look like a Calathea Medallion. So if you know what subspecies this is, do let me know down in the comments. Be fascinated to hear. But without further ado, I want to do a care guide for these plants, because Calathea can be very tricky and there are certain things you absolutely have to get right. I'm not going to say they're difficult, but you can't get away with just chucking a bit of water in every now and again and forgetting about it. So if you are a total beginner, but you are enthusiastic and you've got a little bit of time, then this is going to be fine. If you want a low maintenance houseplant, I would probably swerve this one and try a different one. I do have videos already on the channel about low maintenance houseplants, so go look them up and you'll have plenty to choose from. Now, Calathea come from the sort of subtropics in South America, the rainforests, and generally live on the lower reaches of the forest floor. So they're not used to getting direct sun, which will give you an idea of its care. In terms of light, you want bright, indirect light. These will not tolerate direct sun, so you can't put these on a sunny windowsill. Their leaves will get burnt up in a second. So that's often a mistake a lot of people make, put it in a far too sunny position. They want bright light, but they don't want to be right in line with the sun. Next up is watering, and it doesn't take any more or less water than usual, but it's the type of water that's important here. If you have kept Calathea before, or you've seen other Calathea, you'll often see a lot of brown markings on the edge of the leaves all around here, and often on the very tips they will go brown and can look quite ugly when they go like that. And a lot of the reason for this is tap water. Generally, especially around here where I live, the tap water is very hard, and so you've got dissolved solids and minerals in the water, heavy metals and things like that, that when they get through the leaves, through transpiration, they get drawn up through the roots and into the stem and into the leaves. The transpiration happens, so the water evaporates through the leaves, but only the water can evaporate. So if there are any minerals and metals in the water, then they are going to be stuck in the edges of the leaves, and this is what causes the dieback and the browning of the leaves. It doesn't look very attractive, so we can avoid this by not using tap water. Rainwater is ideal. It's naturally soft. Mineralized, demineralized water, RO water is excellent, because those things, those heavy metals and minerals, have been removed in the reverse osmosis process. So if you're a fish keeper or anything else like that, then you will have reverse osmosis water, and that is great. So let's talk about soil for your Calathea. Generally you want an open and free draining mix. You don't want something that's too compact, and you can't always rely on what comes in the pot. So it's always good to start with something like a cactus mix, because that's usually very free draining. You can add things like coconut coir, which is sustainable. It's a natural peat-free alternative, which is great to put in there. You can add things like mini orchid bark chippings. That's great for drainage, and perlite for water retention, but that will also keep the main majority of the water draining through. You want something of a balance, because if it's too free draining, the water will just go straight through and you'll be constantly watering it. So you want some sort of organic material for some sort of retention, but you do want it free draining, because as the water goes through the pot, it brings with it oxygen, and this oxygenates the roots and keeps the roots happy and healthy. And if the roots are happy, the plant are happy. On the opposite side, if it's a heavy compact soil, as the water keeps hitting it and hitting it, the soil's going to get more and more compact, which is going to push out any opportunity to get oxygen to the roots. The roots will suffer, the roots will die, the plant will die. So get the soil right, you get the roots right, you get the plant right. Right, so let's talk about common issues. We've already talked about the browning leaves, probably the most common issues with Calathea. The other thing is yellowing leaves, and this is usually as a result of overwatering, putting too much water into the plant where it can't escape. And the usual culprit is someone will plant your plant into a pot like this, but directly into the pot. No drainage there. Okay, you do not want to plant directly into the pot if you can possibly help it, because you can't control the level of water. What you really want to do is water the plant well, but you can't if the water's got nowhere to go, because it will just fill up at the bottom and just turn into a bog, and that's no good at all. So what you want is a pot within a pot like this. There's the pot, there's within the pot, and as you can see, when you water it, it drains through. And once you've watered it well, give it half an hour or an hour to sit there, because the water that drains through can get drawn up into the pot within the first half an hour or so. So leave it, and then when you think about it, come back, tip the excess water out so it's not sitting in water, and then you are good to go. So the trick with watering is water well, and once you've watered the plant well, leave it. Don't touch it, don't water it again until it's almost dried out. Stick your finger in there. Is it feeling quite wet or moist on the surface? If it is, leave it alone. Get your finger a good sort of inch or so into the soil and feel it what it's like, because even if it's dry on the surface, there may still be a lot of moisture throughout the pot. So get down into it if you can and see. If you're not very experienced with that, you can use, and once again, it's not to hand. Whenever I talk about a moisture meter, it's never to hand. Very frustrating. I know exactly where it is. It's not in the potting shed. You can use a moisture meter, which is basically a long probe, which is a bit like this cane, and you stick it into the side of the pot, and it will give you a meter reading from dry to very wet. And you can, because it's a small thin probe, you can get that right down into the middle of the pot, and it will tell you exactly the moisture content of your plant. They're very cheap. I'll put a link down below where you can get one. And if you are new to watering, this will help give you an idea. And when you keep seeing these readings, you'll get a feel of it. The pot will feel heavier when it's freshly watered. It gets lighter when there's less water in it. So you'll get a feel for it. But the moisture meter is great if you're just getting started. It will help. But what you don't want to do is just randomly put water in, because it might be too much, it might be too little, you don't know. So give it lots, let it drain out, so then you know that the soil is completely saturated with water. You know it's been well watered. Once it's drained through, you're good. Now wait until it almost dries out, then you can do the same again, water it well. A little bit every now and again is not good enough, because it's easy to get it wrong. If you stick to these core principles of watering, keeping the soil right, keeping oxygen to the roots, and getting the light right, you're going to have a great Calathea for many years to come. It's not difficult, but you do have to get these things right. I hope you found this video useful. Please give it a thumbs up if you have. Please subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you very soon on another video. Bye for now.